I am Marianne Nassif. I'm the Associate Pastor of Care Ministries here at Christ United, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to bring the sermon for you all this morning. So I'd like to thank Ramsey for the opportunity. So we are in the middle of our sermon series on foundations, what we believe and why it matters. We're looking at core ideas like sin and grace that not only shape how we talk about our faith, but how we live that faith out in the world. And so today we're going to look at the doctrine of justification by faith. Justification meaning being made righteous before God or being saved. Articulated most famously by Martin Luther, at its most basic, the doctrine of justification by faith means that salvation is not about what we do, but about what God does. Martin Luther makes the analogy of a ship. It is as if he says one is in great danger, and to be saved from that danger, one must board a ship and cross the sea. Faith, he says, is not simply acknowledging that a ship exists in the harbor, but actually stepping on the ship and setting sail. God has provided the ship. This is salvation by grace through faith. Now, theologians and preachers can and have made this much more complicated. And like all analogies, the ship one breaks down if you push it too far. But what Luther is trying to communicate is that God, in the person of Jesus, has done the work of salvation. It is Jesus' death on the cross and resurrection from the tomb that breaks the bonds of sin and death and places us in a right relationship with God. We are not in a position to add anything to this. There are no extra tasks we can do to make us more acceptable to God, no side quests to earn God's favor, no VIP status that we can purchase to make us stand out just slightly more righteous than our neighbors. Jesus has done all that needs to be done for all of us. But there is also something that needs to happen to us as Christians to bring us to that salvation and into that right relationship with God. And I think as Jesus shows throughout the parables that he tells, this is something better understood as a story. So let's hear this parable one more time, but from a slightly different perspective. Dear Diary, there is something strange going on this week in my family. You know how you get the sense sometimes, even if nobody has said anything, my brother David is acting very weird. Can't quite put my finger on it. He's distant in a way that he never has been before. It's like his mind has gone on a holiday and just left his body behind. Oh, sure, he's always been sort of a flake. He's the dreamer. His favorite hero of the Torah is Joseph. You know, Joseph with his amazing multicolored coat and Joseph with his bizarre dreams of his older brothers bowing down to him. Oh, sure, David's never said anything like that to me, at least not in so many words. But I know how he looks at me, how he looks at the rest of the family, like we were nothing. That because Father and I are content to work the fields and look after the livestock, we are somehow less. That we'll never be successful or happy or amount to anything. But what can I say? I like being a farmer. It's a decent life. It's put food in his hungry stomach every day. I like working the land and being able to marvel every year at God's miraculous creation, how it renews itself time and time again, how life comes from life, and how all life has its source in God. And yet time and time again, when we're tending the sheep, David has looked at me, and the look in his eyes asks, even without words, is this all there is? His ambition will get the better of him, I fear. There is tension in the house, and it is eerie, like the way the earth grows quiet and still before the summer thunderstorms. He's my little brother. I'm supposed to be looking out for him. What can I do? Your confused servant, Nathan. Dear Diary, David left this morning. The eerie stillness I felt before, well, that storm has broken. He has figured out a way to get out of being a simple farmer and see the world. Last night he went to our father, my father, not his father anymore, and said, "Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me." It was as if he'd said, "Dad, hurry up and die so that I can spend your money." You don't say such things to your father. Not and think you can still call him father. If it had been my son, I think I would have risen from my chair and physically thrown him out of the house. He'd lived in the barn with the servants until he came to his senses and apologized. It's in the commandments, after all. You shall honor your father and your mother all the days of your life. What was he thinking? How ridiculous of an idea is this? I don't think he could possibly mean it. He couldn't have meant it, not if he'd seen the look in Father's eyes after he asked for his part of the estate. It was a mixture of frustration that his son could be so blind, resignation that he had known this day was coming, and hurt that his love had been so rejected. It flashed for just a moment. I saw it. From where I was standing in the doorway, the flame from the lamp caught it. I couldn't miss it. But not David. He didn't see anything except his own desires. And then during the night, he began gathering his things. Father gave him what he asked for in cash. And David took his tunic and his sandals, some bread and cheese, and a goat. At first light this morning, he walked out of the house. He didn't even look back. The goat looked back, but not David. Father stood in the doorway and watched him, and even as he disappeared, he stood there staring at the horizon. My sisters sat in the house crying. Had my mother been alive, I'm pretty sure she would have gone after him. As it was, I think she wept in her grave, like the prophet Jeremiah said about Rachel. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing in loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children, refusing to be consoled because they were no more. Well, this is one son who is no more. As far as I'm concerned, David has severed himself from the family. I no longer have a brother. My father has one son now, me. And I will never hurt him like David did. Never. Your very angry servant, Nathan. Dear diary, Father stands in the doorway every day from first light until breakfast. And then when the work of the day is done, he stands there again until it is past dark. He has never said anything about it. He doesn't mention David's name, but he is sad. The frustration and resignation and hurt I saw in his eyes before has turned to sadness. He misses him. There's no other way to put it. He simply misses his son, David. I work extra hard. For all David's dreaming and pining about, he was a skillful set of hands in the field. And because Father has given away almost half of the estate, there is no extra money to hire any extra servants. David left just before planting time, and it is soon going to be harvest time. We've had a good year, and there will be a lot of work to get the harvest in. There's not been much time for festivities because there is so much work to be done. My friends are thinking about getting married. I know one of them would like to marry my sister Lydia. I wish I could see him more often when he comes to call on her. I wish I could have time to go call on his sister. But there is work to be done, and someone has to be responsible. Someone has to manage the livestock and instruct the servants and look after the family. Someone has to make sure we don't starve to death this winter. It was easier when there were two of us. The work went faster, and there was time to relax in the evening by the fire or under the stars. There was time to enjoy life when there was two of us. Now there's only time for work. And even though I think my father is slightly crazy for watching for him day after day and night after night, I think I understand a little because I miss him too. But David chose his path of disloyalty. He has shamed my father, and I will never forget it. And I will never bring dishonor upon my father in such a way. I grieve for the dead without guilt. Your lonely servant, Nathan. Dear Diary, I came in from the fields late tonight, and as I came across the last slope and approached the house, I heard music and saw dancing. There were fires built all around the yard, and I could hear laughing and singing. Father had not said anything to me about a party when I left this morning to hunt for some missing sheep. He'd simply nodded from the doorway when I left. But when I got to the barn, I saw one of the servants hustling back toward the house, and I called him over to ask him what was going on. And I could hardly believe my ears when he said, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has got him back safe and sound." My shout of rage must have been pretty loud, because for a moment the music and the dancing stopped, and everybody looked at me. My father came out of the house and caught up with me just as I reached the barn, and he grabbed my arm, but I shoved it off. "Come inside, Nathan." There was fire in my heart when I turned to face him. "Listen. For all these years, I have been working like a slave for you. I have never disobeyed your command, yet you have never given me even a young goat for a party with my friends. But when this son of yours comes back, who's devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him? No, Father, I will not go inside with you." How could they do this to me? How could David come home and my father act as if nothing had happened, or if he'd been taken hostage in battle and somehow escaped? How could they celebrate as if no one has suffered because of what David has done? No, I will not go into the party. I will not speak to the man they called David, the one who was my brother. My brother is dead to me, and I will not rejoice that another like him has been found. Your furious servant, Nathan. Dear Diary, I have been sitting in the barn since last night. The music stopped only a little while ago when the sun started peeking up over the hillside. They partied until dawn. They literally partied until the cows came home. I didn't go in. I could hear my father and his other son laughing from the house, but I have not gone in to see him. It's not right, not after what he did. But a little voice has crept into my head. I swore I would never hurt my father like David did. And yet, I thought I saw that same look of frustration and resignation and hurt that was in my father's eyes when David left flash in his eyes again when I refused to come into the house last night and welcome my brother home. That couldn't have been, could it? All my life, all I've ever wanted is for my father to love me like he obviously loves David, to throw a party in my honor and say and show the world how proud he is that I'm his son. I've worked so hard. I've done everything right. I've done everything he ever asked of me. And yet it doesn't seem to matter. When David left, Father never said he was glad that I stayed. He never compared me to David and said, "Why couldn't your brother have been more like you?" He never thanked me for working like a slave to make ends meet. He never said he was sorry when my friend married Lydia and somebody else married his sister. And I never cared that he didn't do any of that stuff until last night, until he killed the fatted calf for my ungrateful, disloyal, traitorous younger brother. All I wanted was for him to love me. Your hurting servant, Nathan. Dear Diary, the sun is well up and all the revelers have gone home, and I am still sitting in the barn. No one has come to look for me. I have been left with my thoughts and my anger all night. And my anger is starting to taste really bitter right now. I am remembering what my father said after I refused to go into the house with him. When he looked at me and I saw that pain in his eyes, he left saying, "Son, you are always with me. All that is mine is yours." But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and he has come to life. He was lost and has been found. And I thought about the fact that I had been out looking for lost sheep the night before. I thought about how annoyed I was when they wandered off, as they always do. But I was never more annoyed than I was relieved when I found them again. If I could feel like that about a sheep, surely I could feel that about my brother. I'm still so angry with him for hurting our family. And perhaps he is more like his hero Joseph than I gave him credit for. In the end, Joseph forgave his brothers for selling him into slavery by saying, "You meant it for evil, but God used it for good." Maybe the same is true for this brother of mine. He did not intend anything but to further his own pleasure by leaving home, but he has returned, asking forgiveness for the wrongs he has done. He has learned what it means to be part of a family and how what one member does affects all of them. And I think I have learned a little about forgiveness too. I've learned there's a difference between holding someone accountable and holding a grudge. One is to teach responsibility and the other is just revenge. Revenge never helps the situation. When David left, I vowed never to hurt my father. But by refusing to love the one my father loved, I was hurting him. By not allowing the fences to be mended, I was tearing the family apart just as David had, just in a different way. My father loves me. I was blinded when I thought he didn't, and what I want most is to love him in return. I don't need a fancy party or a big show of appreciation. What will satisfy my heart is knowing that we are a family, and I have done my part to help us love one another. God is waiting for all the Davids of the world to come home, just like my father. And for those of us who think we have never left, we would do well to consider if perhaps we haven't wandered away after all. It's as if we've all been flung on different shores of a great sea and we look out onto the horizon missing one another, and God sends a ship to fetch us. We just need to get on it. It has been a long, cold night in this barn. But as the sun is rising, so also is God's grace. It is a new day. Your humble servant, Nathan.